Cody Bellinger. You wouldn't have any idea. He plays first base, he plays right field, he could play center field, he played left field, plays them all and plays them all like it's his natural position.
Bellinger, he dives and makes the play.
Oh my word.
And just remember, that's Cody Bellinger in left field.
I can't tell you a thing that this player doesn't do well on the field.
Wow, what a night, what a night. A grand slam for Cody Bellinger.
Ball player, he just does everything right.
In a market that is going everything right for Cody Bellinger as well, Joel Sherman joins us with the very latest on the Yankees' courtship of Cody Bellinger, trying to bring him back. Do I have this right? They've made two separate offers?
So they made a second. John Heyman, our colleague, reported last week about their first offer. I reported that there was a second offer today in the Post. Look, there's no, the Yankees haven't hidden this even publicly. This is the number one guy for them. They'd love to bring him back.
This may be the best opt-out of all the opt-outs.
Well, I mean,
that makes sense.
Well,
he got to increase their market.
He just checks boxes on both sides of the ball. Plus, he's proved he could play in this market at a high level, and so they clearly want him, and I think he wants them. This offseason for the Yankees reminds me so much. If I could travel back 2020, 2021 offseason, DJ LeMahieu was coming off a great year and was a free agent. And the Yankees and LeMahieu spent like all winter staring at each other like, we really want this marriage to continue, but they had to go through it. And eventually it got done in late January. The Yankees did nothing before January 1st. And then in just a spurt in January, did that, traded for Jamison Taillon and signed Corey Kluber. And I kind of feel that's this offseason for them again. Like, that they'll find a way, and again, I'm not reporting anything, I know our aggregator friends love this kind of stuff. They clearly would like to find a way back to Bellinger, add at least a starting pitcher. They've talked to the Marlins about Edward Cabrera. I'm not sure how much traction they have. They've talked to the Brewers about Freddie Peralta. You know, think about their starting pitching issue, guys. Well, like on July 1st, they might have one of the better rotations in the sport because by then, I think Carlos Rodon's about May 1st. I think Garrett Cole's about June 1st. Clark Schmidt's about August 1st. But then, you know, you got to play baseball games before then. And they got to make sure. And when you just look at this list, Max Fried, Warren, and Schlittler all career highs professionally in innings last year. So you wonder, what does that look like? Luis Gil, constantly injured guy. So they brought back Ryan Yarbrough to help kind of in there a little bit. But that's kind of like what they've been doing this offseason.
They have to wake up and understand, too, that you could be out of it because the division has got that much better.
Well, you'll have four teams with great ambitions, right? The highest spending teams in free agency so far this offseason, Toronto number 1, Baltimore number 2. That's your division, right? We know the Red Sox are not done. I wouldn't be surprised if like Alex Bregman ended up back there because Alex Bregman is to the Red Sox what Bellinger is to the Yankees. Yeah. Someone who kind of succeeded in that market. It works. It feels like they want each other. But you got to get it done. We can't just talk about it. But I kind of think these are the Yankees, that they'll be busy in January, that they kind of like laid low, kind of got some stuff done beforehand, Small, Ahmad Rosario, Trent Grisham, etc., and now they'll do some bigger stuff.
So that brings me to this question, Joel, and Matt and I were discussing this earlier a little bit. Why give the players the opt-out? Would you have not got them to sign? Like when you got Bellinger, why does he get the opt-out?
Well, that was a contract signed with the Cubs. Right? Like the Yankees didn't sign that contract with him, and he did that because Bellinger went into the marketplace, and I thought he probably felt he was going to do much better than he did. So what Scott Boras has often done, and it's worked out great, look at like what Pete Alonso did, which is he had an opt-out after 1 year and then scored the big deal at $155 million. Bellinger did a deal because he couldn't get the 6 or 7 from the Cubs at the right amount of money to be able to get security for the short term and then give him a, you know, to allow to get the short contract, teams will give you the opt-out.
Yeah.
We haven't said this, Joel, since the early 90s, that the Yankees and the rest of the AL East are chasing Toronto, and that is exactly the case. My question for you is this. If the Jays don't bring back Bo Bichette, has this been a good or a great offseason for them?
Great. I think it's a great question. I think that the Okamoto signing, 4 years and $60 million while we've been on break, that was one of the ones. It made me ask this question. We've been asking who is going to be the Dodgers East? And we keep thinking about Steve Cohen's Mets and the always Yankees. Could it be the Blue Jays? Just because, here's the case we make. They've been chasing it. They were the big pursuer for Ohtani and didn't get it.
Right.
They were big pursuers of Soto. They were big pursuers, Yamamoto, Sasaki. Well, last year, they get as close to winning a championship without winning a championship as possible. And word coming out of their clubhouse was it was a great clubhouse. Suddenly, are they a destination place? They're the big free agent guys. Biggest contract signed so far this offseason, $210 million for Dylan Cease. They also brought in Cody Ponce. They did Tyler Rogers. They did Okamoto. I don't think they're done. I think they got one big one left. Is that a reunion with Bichette? Is it Tucker? Is it Bellinger? Like suddenly, they're over $300 million and the top tax for the first time in the history. The largest payroll in the AL East for the first time in a long time is probably not going to be the Yankees.
Yeah.
And are they now Dodgers East?
So let me throw something at you, because you lived this, all right, covering the Yankees. The Yankees became the evil empire because they had to lock up their homegrown talent.
Yes.
You had Jeter, you had Posada, you had Rivera, you had to lock the guys up. That's where Toronto finds themselves. They locked up Guerrero. You got Bichette. I'm sorry, but the other guys are coming too. Barger's coming. Yeah. Your young pitching's coming. You have to get to a point where you're going to have to lock up your own people, and that's how your money gets big.
Well, so they have some interesting free agency coming up, right? Because guys who did take their money not too long ago, Springer and Gausman, are both free agents after this year. So is Dalton Varsho, who was a big trade for them and is their center fielder. What do they do in those areas? So, again, I think that the problem for them is sitting right there in that number 4 spot. They spent a lot of money on Anthony Santander last offseason, and they go to what the crazy thing was, they had a bad offseason last year, and they went to the AL Championship.
Yeah.
I mean,
World
again,
Series.
like if it was a boxing match, they won the round 10-8 against the Dodgers, but somehow didn't win the World Series. I'm still not sure how that happened after watching it. But yeah, I think that they're fascinating. I think them, the Red Sox, the Orioles, and the Yankees are all going to have giant ambition. The Rays will lurk and kind of math their way to at least 75 plus wins, which will make it tough to just kind of get to 95 in that division. It's tough, and that's why, again, I think the Yankees are kind of lurking. They're not just going to seed a season of Aaron Judge is still prime, late prime, but prime. So I still think they'll be busy this month.
Well, you mentioned the AL Championship. It was the first one in a while last year without the Houston Astros. They've been, I guess, busy this offseason. They bring in Imai. He was a highly coveted Japanese pitching prospect. We'll call him that because he hasn't pitched here yet. What does his signing do for the rest of their offseason?
So, Harold, to your point earlier, I think Imai, we began this offseason thinking he was going to get 5, 6, 7 years. When he couldn't get that market, again, a Scott Boras client, got $3 of $54 million with an opt-out after each season here. And this is kind of like the counter to Framba Valdez, almost certainly leaving the Astros. They also traded for Mike Burrows. They brought in Ryan Weiss, who had some success over in Asia, brought him back. He's going to take a shot at their rotation. For me, always follow the money. This takes them to about $5 million shy of the lowest tax threshold. If they go over, it would be the 3rd straight year. There's certainly a lot of noise out there that ownership doesn't want to do that for the 3rd straight year, and there's no way that they don't need to spend more than $5 million. So what can they do? Well, once they trade for Correa and put him at 3rd, and now Altuve is kind of committed back to 2nd, and you want to use Yordan Alvarez as your DH, you're starting to lock up the places. Well, where does Paredes, you have Alvarez in left field. That isn't what they want to do. They have publicly said they want him to DH. So to me, Christian Walker has 2 years at $40 million left. Paredes got 2 years of control, has some arbitration. One of those guys getting traded opens up money for them. By the way, do they go even further? Brian Abreu, who is a desirable relief pitcher, is in his walk year. Do they say, hey, we're unlikely to keep him long term. Can we turn him into something? every team is looking for a center fielder. Jake Myers. In Cole, they have a young center fielder they think can play. So I think that they're an interesting group to see if they could trade to solve the rest of their problems and get out of money to do other things the rest of the offseason and through July 31st.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. They're fascinating right now because we've been in that stage with the Astros for a couple years. These are important years for them to continue what they had established, going to 7 straight ALCSs, or take a step back and retool. Joel's going to rejoin us here in a little bit.
One quick thing. Can you guys put that Big Six back up there, the Big Six cube? Because I want to ask Joel this before we let him go real quick. Which one of these dominoes falls first? The Big Six that are still out there.
Like a Framber, Bregman, Bellinger.
There you go. They're right there.
So to me, I feel like Bellinger in some way is waiting for Tucker, right? So that all the teams that don't get the number one guy, like now all of a sudden it becomes clarified. I think Tucker goes, but I don't want to pretend like I have giant insight. The one thing that has come up more often with Tucker that I've heard and I've seen some people write about is he not finding that market in the 300 million, 400 million, whatever we thought it was going to be, and we'll do a high annual value and shorter with, again, the ability to get back out if he
that would make
wants.
sense for him.
Like
he didn't have the year that would have put him the money.
And the team that always lurks on stuff like that is the Dodgers. Like we should always remember, when the Dodgers saw Bryce Harper, they thought Bryce Harper's market collapsing. They offered him like a 3-4 year deal at a high AV and said, want to come do this? They've done this. They ended up with Trevor Bauer like this. When his market collapsed, they ended up with him on a 3-year deal. This is one of those ones, I think the Dodgers would love to add an outfielder, and they're always looking to do it on their terms. Their terms would be high value, short term, high annual value, short term. And I think they're lurking for somebody like Bellinger or like Tucker who might have their market not go to where they thought it would.
And it all circles back to Ohtani gets $2 million.
Right, so they got all that do-re-mi.
Yeah. It isn't about $2 million. It's how much money he makes them.
Yes, exactly.
That's not the $2 million.
Well, let's hurry up and sign those 6 guys so we can tear apart the breaking news unit here at the network. Joel